In today's video, we're going to be looking deep into MMS Ventures Berhad's big turnaround. You can see the recent few days from 13th of August to 15th of August, the share price went up about 53.7%. And we're going to be looking into their financial, what is their prospects, whether this share price rally can sustain in the future, and many more. So stay tuned. So if you check out their latest quarterly earnings, their Q2 financial year 2025, they actually reported a big turnaround. So right now they are making about 2.8 million profit compared to its precedent quarterlies, which is making at about 500,000 ringgit in losses. Revenues also actually increase about 10%-ish. And if you look at in terms of annualized figure, you can see also there's some sort of recovery for this financial year in 2025 compared to 2024 and 2023. And also if you notice something is that the losses actually started to shrink. So you can see that financial year 2023, they make about 3 million in losses. Then that actually shrunk to about 600,000. And then right now they are back to black. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what is their business and everything about MMSV. So this company is something like mini Vitrox in my opinion, or at least the products that they are selling is quite similar. So you can see this is actually depicted from their website. They do assemble and sell ATE machines, so like vision inspection, electrical test applications, a material handler, and also some of the 2D inspection system that is provided over here. So it's your basic ATE kind of like company. And if you look into their annual report, these are a few groups of customers that they are serving. Number one, they are serving the LED industry. Number two, they are serving the semiconductor. And last but not least, it is the OEM and also the ODM industry. They also break it down for their LED segment that can be subdivided into smart devices, automotive, and also general lighting. So you can see that in financial year 2022, which is actually the year that they made the, I would say, the best profit ever since like for the past 5 years. You can see that they actually make about 9 million over here. You can see the customers that, or at least the market segment that they are serving was actually heavily contributed by the smart devices, or actually it's coming from the LED business segment. So these smart devices, I did a little bit of digging. They are basically serving companies like the smartphone segment, so your Apple. I'm not sure about Samsung, but in one of the news, H News, actually they did reported that Apple is one of their major customer. So that actually heavily contributed to their revenue over here. And if you can see, the next bigger segment is the OEM and ODM, followed by automotive and then semiconductor. And then you can see there's actually a big transition in 2024. There's a change in terms of our products mix. So right now, the one that is actually contributing heavily to their revenue is the medical business segment. And then this is followed by 10%, which is the smart devices. So these smart devices right now actually comprises of smart wearables. So like your smartwatches and all those kind of things. So interestingly, the smartphone, I think that one become like a very small little contribution to their market segment. Whereas the third contribution or largest contribution is the automotive LED, and then followed by the OEM and ODM business segment. So you can see the OEM and ODM actually shrink a lot. So previously it was about 20.4% revenue contribution. Right now it's about 8%. So you can see that their customers also has been recovering lately. And if you guys can recall, in 2022, the Fed actually did hike up the rates, which actually caused the tech companies to tumble a lot in terms of share price, because the market expect some of the big MNCs to start to scale back in terms of their capex spending, because there's not much of a cheap money to actually expand further. So they are basically being held back on that. And that actually affected a lot of these tech companies in Malaysia, especially for ATE, OSAT companies, and also for EMS companies over here. And the share price didn't really much recover since then. But recently, there is some sort of like a turnaround. So you can see for MMSV's latest quarterlies, right? The revenue from their customer, which is coming from Malaysia, America, Asia, these three big revenue contributor actually start to show signs of improvement. So you can see previously for 30th of June 2024, the 6 months for Malaysia one, they make about 8.3 million. And right now that figure actually doubled to 17.2 billion. So that shows some sort of like, customers are replenishing back their orders already, and I believe they actually depleted their inventory. So right now they are starting to buy more, and this actually helped to contribute MMSV's business a lot. And you can see some of their prospects over here. This is actually coming from their AGM on the left-hand side. You can see that in Mr. Xia's stance, Mr. Xia says that several major customers in the smart device sector have relocated their business sector to Taiwan and also from Japan. I'm not sure where are they previously. My guess will be from the United States, and then because there is some sort of like tariff situation right now, so there is some sort of like relocation in terms of factory to other countries. However, he also did added that he anticipates some sort of improvement performance contribution coming from the smart devices and also the medical equipment segment in the coming quarter. And you can see the prospects also for their previous quarterlies, quarter one financial year 2025, and also for quarter two, they did mention quite of like a positive bullish remark. So you can see over here for quarter one, they say that they expect to achieve better performance in the coming quarters. And then the recent quarterlies, they also did say that, they're going to be getting a better set of results for the rest of the year. So overall, they are pretty much optimistic about their future quarterlies. But the key thing is obviously we shouldn't really trust management words so easily, right? We have to look at what are their track record, or at least are they walking the talk. So I actually compiled some of these minutes of meetings and also the whatever they say during that time, whether they actually meant what they say and also did they manage to deliver. So in 2022, let's have a look whether they actually managed to walk the talk. So this is actually their quarter one financial year 2022's remarks. So you can see that during the AGM, Mr. Saw Chong Kiat actually did answer one of the questions over here about the company's future outlook. So they did say that the company's future outlook would be positive, and this year, which is in 2022, would be better as compared to last year. So you can see that in 2022, they did indeed deliver. You can see that the profits, they actually make about 9 million compared to 2021's 8.2 million. So that is quite a big improvement. So that's a check mark over there. In 2023, however, you can see that they also did say some sort of like positive outlook for the second half of 2023. While for the first half, they did say that it has been slow. Customer didn't really place a lot of orders, but they did anticipate some sort of recovery for second half of 2023. And then this is also what Mr. Saul say over here. Getting some feedback from customers, there should be some improvement during the second half of 2023. But if you look at the numbers over here, so quarter one 2023 was the year that they make a slight in terms of profit, about 400,000. But in the second half, which is around quarter two 2023 and also quarter three 2023, the losses actually, magnified, or at least they didn't really make profit. So that tells you a little bit about, the situation is not as easy as it was said. And you can also look at the tonality, right, on what they say from quarter one financial 2023 to quarter two. So quarter one, remember, they are making a slight little profit, whereas for quarter two, they actually turn into loss. So for quarter one, they say that, we are likely going to be recording a lower profit. But a straightaway change in tonality in quarter two, they say that, because there is some sort of like sluggish global market condition, and also most of their customers are not operating in full capacity. So they do not expect a quick turnaround in the industry, or at least their customers may not be placing much of an order. And they also did anticipate that the end of the year will be making losses. And indeed, they did make losses, and it further widened in quarter three 2023. Now, let's have a look at 2024. So for 2024, same thing. They say that they may be able to recover from losses by the end of the year 2024. And when asked about their future outlook, they say that 2024 is going to be better than last year, which is about 2023. And indeed, they did manage to deliver. You can see that the losses actually shrunk a lot. Last time, for 2023, they made about 3.1 million in loss, and that loss actually shrunk to about 600,000. So 2024, they did deliver what they promised. And you also can see there is a change in tonality for each of the quarterlies for quarter one to quarter four. And what's interesting is that quarter one and quarter two, they were actually making a profit, and then quarter 3, quarter 4, they were making loss. So let's have a look at each of these prospects or their comments. So for quarter 1, they say that they expect to achieve some sort of satisfactory profit from their contribution or introduction of a mixed product for the rest of the year. So far, it seems quite positive. And then for quarter 2, they say that because they invested some of their money to penetrate into industries like the medical industry and also the energy storage industry, so that actually helped to contribute some revenues and so profits into their business. Whereas they also did mention that the semiconductor industry was still pretty much sluggish. So thanks to their diversification, it actually helped to bring out some sort of commendable results for quarter 2. But in quarter 3, you can see that there is some sort of anticipation of recovery in the semiconductor during that particular period, but then it didn't really take place. So they say that, we were expecting there's a recovery, but then it didn't happen. So they did also further comment. They say they expect this unfavorable situation to persist and it will affect our results for the rest of the year. So they expect, financial year 2024 might not be so good. But then if you look at quarter 4, 2024, they also change again in terms of their tonality. And they say that, I think because we heard some of from our customers' feedback, they're also placing some orders. So we kind of like expecting the results for the forthcoming year to be better than the previous year. So which means they say that, 2025 will be better than 2024. And indeed, if you look at the overall return in terms of the earnings for 2025, you can see that so far, quarter 1, they make losses, but at least it was shrinking. But in quarter 2, they did in fact have a turnaround. So that's why the share price also reflected about like a 50% increase in just 2 days. So all in all, if you look at how is their track record in terms of walking the talk, right? So it's about like a 2.5 out of 4 hit, which means the 4 times that they mentioned, whether they are facing like a good times or bad times, about 2.5 actually came true, which is about like a 50 to 60% hit rate. Whether this is good or bad, well, I leave that to your own judgment. Second point over here is that for their next coming quarterlies, the majority of the contributions will be coming from the smart devices, which is their LED business segment, and also the medical. So they say that there is some sort of like high demand in this particular sector. And this is also shown in the Edge, whereby the group managing director, Mr. Xia, he said that the demand for smart wearables had slumped for the 3 years before picking up in January 2025. However, they also did say that starting from 2025, their company has resumed in terms of receiving orders from MNCs for their ATE used for assemble smart wearables. So you can see that there is a turnaround, or at least there is some sort of replenishment of orders from the smart wearables. And then you also can see that they expect there is going to be a single-digit percentage growth for the third quarters, which means that maybe we can expect the third quarters maybe revenue and profits to remain or at least to continue growing. And that is actually some sort of like a positive sign that might sustain MMSV's share price. So finally, whether this company it is worth paying attention to or worth investing in, well, I did small little projections on MMSV. So the best case scenario, I think that this company will be trading at about 19.5 times price to earnings ratio. So my projection is that for quarter 3, they will be still making a slight profit. However, the profit is not going to be as good as quarter 2. I think this is like a historical kind of like data, kind of like show usually quarter 3 and quarter 4, the revenue and also the profits also start to like decline a little bit. Whether is it seasonality or whether is it customers, the timing of when they place the order, that could actually like affect their contribution. So I'm being more conservative over here and I place like a 19.5 times PE for the bull case. Whereas for the bear case is that I assume they didn't manage to walk the talk and they make losses for the remaining 2 quarters, which is quarter 3 and quarter 4. So that will actually derive about 100 times price to earnings ratio. So that's actually a pretty high and premium, and at this current price point, assuming they didn't deliver, it might not be so good. But if let's say they managed to deliver, well, you might want to think whether it's 19.5 times price to earnings ratio fair for an ATE company like MMSV. So yeah, that is about the final thoughts about this company. And just want to share with you guys also a little bit about Mumu, because you can do a quick research about MMSV's entire prospects, about their fundamentals, all through their Mumu AI. So it's very simple. I'm going to show you guys, or at least demonstrate how you can do that. Okay, so number one thing, obviously, you need to download Mumu app in your mobile phone or maybe in your laptop. So if you guys haven't really registered yet, make sure to use our referral link and also key in our code FIRL, FIRL 24 to get a 40 ringgit cash reward. And on top of that, if you are you are new to Mumu, you can get a lot of newbie perks. You can get like 100 ringgit cash voucher. You also can get free shares if you like deposit some more money into this platform. But anyhow, I'm just going to show you guys how do I use this AI to analyze companies fast. So first, open the Mumu app. Then the second thing is you want to search the company that you want to analyze. So in this case, let's take a look at MMSV. All right. So once you search that company, on the right-hand side, top right, you can see that there is like a robot and an AI logo. So you want to click on that. So they will show you a few key pointers over here. Number one is the company's profile. Number two is the analysis of the reasons for the recent rise and fall of the company and the favorable factors that may boost stablecoin. This one I think is unrelated to MMSV. So whatever you want to know about this company, you can actually just type in this chat over here to know more. But I'm just going to show you guys one of the key examples. So let's have a look at the analysis of the reason for their rise and fall. So you just tap on it, and then they'll start to gather some key data. They'll start to reason it. Give them some time. Usually it takes about like few seconds. And there you go. They will show you the analysis on their recent price volatility. And then if you want to know more about it, you can actually read whatever description that they have that is computed by this Mumu AI. So yeah, this is actually a very, very helpful tool if you want a quick analysis on a company in a matter of just seconds or even minutes. And if you want to know more about this company, you also can prompt and ask them questions over there. And hopefully they can answer your questions correctly. Right, so that's about it for today's video. And before you guys go, this is FIRL's July 2025's performance. So far, all three of our portfolios are still doing quite decent. And our current August one is also doing even better because of one of the few stocks actually managed to contribute the returns on it. So FIRL Malaysia is where we cover Malaysia stocks obviously in Malaysia. FIRL Global is where we share companies that we find interesting in the global space. So that could be China, US, Vietnam, Singapore, and many more. Whereas the boring or TB is actually where we share companies that we find interesting in the dividend space. And these dividend stocks is actually all from Malaysia one. So if you are interested to know what are the names that we have initiated in these three model portfolios, make sure to check out FIRL Pro. And if you want to see how we do our write-ups, you want to see how we do our analysis on companies, how we assess management, how do we even assess the risks, and also what do we think about the prospects about the company. Well, we have a free sample for you over here, and you can check it out. We have two free write-ups. One, it is Delium. The other one is KGB. And if you look at KGB's recent price, it has been doing pretty well. And obviously, some of our FIRL Pro members also managed to get into KGB and make a good buck on it. And if you want to know how we do our analysis, you can read our free sample over here. And on top of that, we also do share 3 management notes, which is basically information or insights that we gathered when we meet the management, CEOs, or maybe some industry experts to get some insights that might not be available publicly. So if you want to get to know all of this information, it is inside this FIRL free sample. And if you hop on the FIRL Pro program, obviously there is a ton of more information over there. I believe we're going to be hitting about 400 management notes over there. Whereas for the write-ups, we're going to be hitting about 100 write-ups very, very soon. So if you want to get all those information is inside FIRL Pro, and you can get a 10% off by using our coupon code. It will be in the description and comments. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video.